Greetings everyone and welcome. I'm your host Captain Rye, and today I am here to rule the waves as Britannia, playing in the Tier 3 premium British battleship, the first of her kind and the namesake for all others of this style and class that would follow, of course, HMS Dreadnought, here in World of Warships. As the battle gets underway, it is standard battle mode on Big Race. And it is a Tier 4 maximum game, so I am not top tier here, but that's okay. I am in a battleship, and not just any battleship, I am in the Dreadnought. Now, if you haven't picked this ship up and you're kind of sitting on the fence, you can consider this to be my review video for this ship. And hopefully this gameplay will demonstrate both the strengths and the weaknesses that this ship has. Starting off, let's talk about one of the big weaknesses that this ship has. Look how slowly these gun turrets traverse. And just like any Tier 3 battleship, the dispersion on those shots is absolutely atrocious. Additionally, the maximum range of these guns at 13.7 kilometers, not the greatest in the world, which means, especially if you find yourself as a bottom tier like I am, you're going to find yourself constantly outranged by pretty much everything. Now, I have switched over to the armor piercing. Yes, I know, a British battleship using armor piercing. What madness is this? But I've switched over to the armor piercing because I've got this enemy Phoenix that's going to poke its nose out from behind this island at any moment. Now, these are nice big 12-inch guns, and theoretically the high explosive could citadel the Phoenix, but the armor piercing will do just as good a job. I do have a problem though. I've got not one but two enemy destroyers hovering back around over here. Plus the Phoenix itself has torpedoes itself, which means I have to be careful and I have to pre-plan that there's going to be torpedoes in the water. So because of this, I've already started turning in. Now, I'm trying to keep my guns lined up here before I make this turn so that I can get the killing shot on that Phoenix. And I do manage to get it, and that's when an enemy destroyer pops up. Now here come the torpedoes that I was talking about earlier, but look at that. The ship, in spite of its speed and its slow turret rotation, is actually reasonably maneuverable. So you can use that maneuverability to go ahead and torpedo beats like me. Especially at these lower tiers, you're dealing with slower, usually very short range torpedoes, so you don't have to worry too much about it. But there are a couple of things to worry about in this game. That destroyer there that's just popped a smoke screen is going to be one of them. This G101, however, not really going to be a major issue for me, as he seems to be more or less focused on the friendly Wyoming that has managed to put himself into the border wall. Now I've switched back over to the high explosive here because, of course, high explosive versus destroyers gonna cause some problems. And not just any high explosive, this is British high explosive, so it's really gonna cause anything it hits, especially as small as a destroyer, some problems, provided you actually make contact. Enemy Kawachi fires off shots there, actually does manage to connect, causes me a lot of damage, all damage right through the stern of my ship, even though I tried to angle. So that is something to think about. The angling on this boat, not quite as good as you might expect with some other ships. As far as the battle goes, my team is currently up on points because we've sunk more high-value ships. The enemy team currently has a destroyer lead. They've got 3 destroyers left, although if this G101 keeps pushing up this direction, he's going to have a really bad time. Both teams currently at 3 versus 3. And again, though, if this G101 keeps pushing up, he's going to have a really bad time. Fire off more shots there, and they all miss again. Again, going into that Tier 3 battleship dispersion. And unlike the Wyoming, which is the beta test reward ship, if you've got that, you can't add the module to improve the accuracy on these guns, unfortunately. So you are left with this piss poor accuracy. Now, I am using my Tier 10 Conqueror captain, so that's a 19-point captain on this ship. So I've got the detectability range down to 10.2 kilometers. I have all of the buffs associated, so this should cause some serious problems here. Did finally manage to connect. Not a lot of damage there, only 1 penetration. But as you can see, he is very, very actively after the South Carolina, who has pushed up here and found himself in a position he doesn't want to be in. Fortunately, it is a G101, so the torpedo's not the best in the world, and those single launchers coming off the front of it, also not a problem. In secondary range, so they're opening up, don't have manual secondaries, but that's not going to factor in here as I managed to take that destroyer out with a full broadside. Finally managing to hit him. Of course, you had to see how close a range I had to be before my gunners finally got their shit together. Shots coming in there from the enemy Wyoming, and at this point, the enemy team is now down to 6 ships. My team currently holding just barely the lead, but look at that, we've got a pink cruiser now. I'm not sure if that just happened or if he's always been pink. I've only just now noticed. I have high explosive loaded, but you can see here, this Wyoming giving me a beautiful broadside to shoot at. So I switch over to the armor piercing after firing off those shots. But you see, I set a fire on that Wyoming, and if I had thought about it a little bit more, I'd have actually gone ahead and kept the high explosive, because by the time these guns are reloaded, and now that I'm turning around, by the time my rear turrets get traversed around, he'll put the fire out, and I can set another one. It is British high explosive. The enemy team has managed to pull things back now. We're both equal on points finally, and this is only because neither team has actually managed to set foot in the other team's cap. However, if you pay attention to the minimap down there, you can see the last known locations for some of those ships. You can see the enemy is creeping through that channel. Speaking of the enemy, that Wyoming still presenting broadside. Now, I haven't fired my shots yet here for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm about half health and I'd like my heal to be up again. And number two, I really want a full broadside, because the full broadside is going to deliver a more concise and clustered shot, as opposed to doing it piecemeal, where what'll end up happening is I'll just have shells going every which way, like they just don't care. So, as my turrets are almost up here, I'm just about behind this island too. Fire off all my shots there. They go down range. Hopefully I can land a nice big hit on him. Come on, will we see? I'm behind the island. Did connect, did penetrate. No citadels though, kind of disappointed. However, because I'm behind the island when I fired, and because he was the only one who technically is in range and not blocked by the island, lucky me, not detected. So my heal is going to become available here, and I can go ahead and use it. Enemy feint is pushing up here. Now, we're going to play a little bit of chicken with this feint, with this island in the way. Which way is he going to go? It's hard to tell. The enemy team has finally managed to step on our base. Now, we do have a ship currently on the base, so they're not capping. That ship has left, but that's okay. I'm pushing in here. We can safely assume it's going to be the enemy destroyer, and there's the Isakaze enemy destroyer there. He is in the cap. I would really, really like the battleships and the cruisers that are back down there to focus this guy down, and it does look like at least one person is going to do that. Since they're going to focus him down, and since he's behind that island and actually turning away, I'm going to go ahead and redirect my attention towards that feint. Now, I know he's back behind that island, and I'm expecting him to pop out from this island at any moment. But our South Carolina's got himself a problem as well. There's that enemy Kawachi again. Now, South Carolina is a pretty good, compact little warship at Tier 3, and versus a Kawachi, I really want to give it to the South Carolina every time. The problem is that feint, and that feint, keeping that island just between him and I can't get good shots on him. In fact, he's actually going to start moving forward, so I'm not going to be able to get shots on him. Notice what he's doing there. He just backed up out of cover. Now, our South Carolina gets the shots off. He gets the killing blow just as I fire, but there's what the feint was doing. He was getting torpedoes out, and those are going to finish off our South Carolina. And I kind of suspected that when I saw that happen, but there's not much the South Carolina was going to be able to do in this situation. Given his speed, he could either turn and present broadside to the Kawachi and eat it from him, or he could stay the course and eat it from the feint. Now, friendly St. Louis over here firing away, still firing at the battleship. He needs to adjust his focus to the Isakaze, and unfortunately he's just not doing that. So because he's not doing that, I'm going to get my shots on him. He does finally start shooting. I mean, it does connect there, and that Isakaze is probably going to be shitting bricks about now, just because that's the last thing you want, is to have a St. Louis shooting at you. That is a literal fortress of guns that can sail in a circle and never stop firing. Unfortunately, the Isakaze disappears, and the St. Louis has no other target except this Tribune. Tribune disappears, but as soon as he fires his guns, and he is going to fire them there at that St. Louis, because St. Louis is easily detected at this point and close enough, plus presenting broadside, he's going to reveal himself. St. Louis manages to survive somehow, someway, firing off shots there. You can see the dispersion on these guns yet again. Really, really sad. I am getting penetrations, which makes me happy, but I'm not getting the big damage that I want to see there. Surprisingly, though, the St. Louis is still alive, but unsurprisingly, of course, he's not going to stay that way for long, not as a Tier 3 cruiser with only 200 health. There's the enemy. Isakaze has popped up again. I have my guns loaded, most of them anyway, so I fire off. Can I connect? Yes, finish him off. A very dangerous destroyer is no more. Unfortunately, the enemy team is now currently in the lead, as they have managed to sink our last destroyer as well, giving them a 4-ship to 3-ship lead. The good news is their positioning for those ships isn't really the best. The other good news is at least 2 of those ships are cruisers. The bad news is our only cruiser doesn't have a lot of health, and he's going up against a battleship. Of course, the good news again, this guy is being shot at by 2 different battleships. Not that that's going to matter, considering he's going to shoot at the ship he knows he can penetrate in this case. Firing off one last shot there, do manage to secure the kill there, finishing off that battleship. Now we're back, but look at that! Oddly enough, we managed to sink more high-value ships again, and thanks to that Isakaze sitting on our cap just long enough, we're now 1 point in the lead. Enemy feint, reversing back behind this island. I tried to get a full broadside off, unfortunately, because of my turn. The rest of my guns didn't manage to line up when I pulled the trigger. And those 2 shots alone, and this is why I always go full broadside when I'm in these low-tier battleships as opposed to single-firing them, not a single shell hit. And given that that feint was giving a full broadside in the position I was in, it's very likely if I'd managed to actually get that full broadside off, that would now be a dead cruiser. Instead, I still have to deal with him, and, equally important, he was still taking shots at our friendly cruiser, and leaving our friendly cruiser on precariously low health. Also, something to think about, they still have a Wyoming. They have a Tier 4 battleship here, who's about half health. Fortunately, we still have a Tier 4 battleship. There's the feint. He's still backing up. There's the full broadside I want. You can see what I'm talking about. The dispersion on, at the very least, the full broadside on an aim target. There's the Citadel. Finish him off. And there is the Kraken Unleashed. Haven't done a whole lot of damage here, but then again, I did take out a couple of low-health cruisers and a couple of destroyers to earn that. And, well, kill secure that one guy. Now, with that feint dead, we can really realistically go ahead and focus all of our fire onto the Wyoming. And the Wyoming right now is giving me broadside. 12-inch guns versus 12-inch guns. He's got 2 more of them than I do that he can bring to bear at any given time. Well, technically he's got 2 more turrets he can bring to bear. He's got 6. The good news for me is that I'm on this side of the island, so he can't see me and the enemy feint isn't in a position to spot. Now, I had high explosive loaded because I wanted to set him on fire. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to set that fire. Switch over to the armor piercing because he was still giving me broadside. And of course, what's he do? He turns in and he's not giving me the best angle for the armor piercing. Since I have it loaded, however, I'm going to continue to shoot it. And there's shots coming in from the last remaining enemy cruiser. If that cruiser decides to make his presence known, I want to keep the armor piercing loaded, because then I can quickly take him out. So I fire the armor piercing, have a penetration, no damage, really annoyed, switching back over to the high explosive, as it looks like this Wyoming is turning away. So because he's going to turn away, now my armor piercing is not going to do as much damage. Instead, I'm going to get these shots off and hopefully set a fire. But again, he turns back and he's giving me broadside. Oh, why can't he make up his mind? Spotted this time as I fire because he's come around far enough from the island there. Set 2 fires there. He's going to start burning down here. The question is he going to put those fires out? It doesn't look like he's going to be able to put those fires out. I am finally gaining some additional damage. Come on, baby. Burn. Burn, baby, burn. Am I going to be able to sink him here? Is this going to be a possibility? Can I get my 6th kill? Yes, I do. Finish the Wyoming off through fire. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the last remaining ship. He does take out our last cruiser, but now it's a cruiser with torpedoes versus 2 battleships. Shots land astern, only over penetrations there. Really disappointed. If I'd given them a little bit more lead, I could have finished him off outright. Now, remember what I said about this ship being reasonably maneuverable, and more importantly, remembering that that ship has torpedoes. As we both go around this island, he's still detected because the Wyoming can still see him, but he can't see me anymore, so I'm undetected. So he thinks I'm going to come charging around this island, but I know better. And so I'm going to go ahead, slam on the brakes, and head towards this island. I don't want to completely go around this island a long way and lose all of my gun tracking, because I expect this guy to come out from behind this island at any moment, and I want my shots ready. At the same time, I also have to think about the possibility of him coming and bum rushing me and charging me as I pull a Notzer and beach. So because I'm beached, I'm a sitting duck should he come out from behind the island. And I'm still waiting for those torpedoes, and there they are. Now, this ship has reasonable torpedo protection if you do take 1 or 2, and we're actually going to see some of that potentially here. However, against 2 full torpedo salvos with the amount of health I have left and no heals because, like an idiot, I forgot to switch over to the premium consumable, taking a full set of salvo torpedoes from this guy would probably finish me. So here he comes from around the island. I don't know if this means that his torpedoes on this side have fully reloaded or not. Managed to connect all overpens again. Surprisingly, though, he's actually shooting at the Wyoming and not at me. This is good for me for the moment. Here come the torpedoes that he's fired from that side again. So now he's missed completely, but that does tell me that he's fired his torpedoes from that side. So, expecting the turn, because he's going to try and get those torpedoes off again, I'm in a position where I can't really turn in. I don't want to lose my gun bearing. Gonna try and fire through the bow. This time, a lot of over penetrations, no citadels there. That's unfortunate for me. Our Wyoming is shooting high explosive. He gets his torpedoes off, but the high explosive is enough to finish him off. The Wyoming may be a little bit smarter than I was firing the high explosive at that guy. Kraken unleashed, and this ship earning the reward that is its namesake, Dreadnought, earned as an achievement as well. 6 kills in that game. Actually, 12 secondary hits. That's a little surprising. 4 fires hit. Top of the team for XP earned at over 1,000 base XP there, with the Wyoming coming in a close second at 900 base XP. It's always good when you're in a tier 3 match, tier 4 matchup, and you earn over 1,000 base XP there. Nobody on the enemy team managed to break 600 base XP. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you liked the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to have me take a look at or see featured on my channel, you can send it to my email. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, you can do so by liking and following me on Facebook. And if you'd like to watch me play various games live, you can do so by following me on Twitch. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as always, I'll see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.